Hey everyone, I went to an Indian demo day and rode several of their bikes. We're going to continue our 2024 Versus series talking about these rides and comparing the Indians with their greatest rival, the Harleys. There is a vast difference between the Harley demo rides and the Indian demo rides. With Harley, you have to attend a safety briefing before you can ride and follow several rules like no passing, no slingshotting, stuff like that. The rides are always led by Harley people, and before each ride you have to sign up for which bike you want to ride next. The Indian demo rides are nothing like that at all. Once you've verified your motorcycle endorsement and received your wristband, it's a free-for-all. On the first ride, you're expected to go with a leader so that you learn the route you're supposed to take for the rest of the rides. After that initial ride, you can ride whenever you want and whatever bike you want. You don't have to go with a leader, you don't have to go with a group, you don't have to sign up for a bike. All you do is just grab a bike and go. Generally speaking, this works fine when you only have a few people, maybe 10 or 15, but when you get 20 or 30 people and you only have 11 bikes, it becomes a little chaotic trying to figure out who's riding which bike next. Honestly, when there aren't many people, I actually like Indian's method better. It's so much more fun to just be able to grab a bike and go without waiting for a leader and without being limited by the people in front of you. But I didn't enjoy the process when there were a lot of people there. You go to get a bike and someone else gets there first, so you have to sit there and wait for them to get back. The other downside is that people tend to bend the rules because there are hardly any rules to bend. I heard guys talking about riding off the specified route to get some extra ride time, doing their own thing, etc. One guy I was talking to said that he was there last fall and he went off the road and got lost and ended up doing spin outs in a parking lot somewhere, dropped the bike and whatnot before he came back. In the meantime, other people who want to ride that bike have to sit there and wait. So that is another downside of the free-for-all method. The location for this particular Indian dealer wasn't really great either. This dealer is about a half hour from my house. I'm fairly familiar with the location. There really aren't any good twisty roads in that area. A couple of fun corners, but nothing that really stands out. And there's a decent amount of traffic, so car and truck traffic definitely slowed things down at times. Also, the dealer did not get the full Indian truck for this weekend. They just got the trailer, which means fewer bikes. Several of the bikes were not present: the Scout Classic, Super Scout, Chief Bobber, Chief Dark Horse, several others. I really wanted to ride the Springfield Dark Horse, but it wasn't available on the trailer. What we did have available was the FTR R Carbon, Scout Bobber, Sport Scout, 101 Scout, Sport Chief, Super Chief Limited, Springfield Classic, Chieftain Limited, Challenger Dark Horse, Roadmaster Limited, and Pursuit Limited. I rode 9 of those 11 bikes. One thing I experienced across most, if not all of the Indian bikes, is the reach to the bars. If you've watched my channel for any length of time and remember back to when I owned both an Indian Scout and then a Chieftain, I struggled with the length of these bikes and the long reach to the bars. I'm 5'6", and every single one of these bars was a stretch for me. Of course, some bikes are designed that way on purpose. The more sporty bikes have an aggressive stance. The Sport Scout and Sport Chief, the FTR, the Scout 101, for instance. But even on the bikes that are supposed to have a relaxed riding position, the Springfield, Chieftain, Challenger, I could feel a little bit of strain on my shoulders from reaching to the bars. Probably the one bike that was most comfortable with the stock bars was the Springfield. That bike comes closest to being comfortable for me. They had also put reduced reach bars on the Roadmaster, so that was very comfortable for me. Even though the reduced reach bars only give another 2 inches of pullback, that 2 inches made a huge difference. So if I were to get an Indian, reduced reach bars would definitely be in order. Let's get to the actual review. We've covered the Scouts, the Chief, and the FTR bikes in our previous videos. Now it's time to talk about the Springfield. Indian has 2 Springfields, the Springfield Classic and the Springfield Dark Horse. The Dark Horse is a more modern looking bike, no windshield on the stock version, blacked out engine and pipes, designed as a minimalist touring bike. It comes with the 116 engine with 126 foot-pounds of torque. I really want to try one of these, but they didn't have one available to ride, so haven't been able to do so yet. The Springfield Classic has the famous vintage look from Indian, the big swooped front fender and swooped saddlebags to match the rear fender, a windshield, headlight bar, handlebars with lots of pullback, and tons of chrome. This has the 111 engine with 119 foot-pounds of torque and has a 26-inch seat height. The Classic weighs about 830 pounds. The Dark Horse only weighs 790 pounds, about 40 pounds less despite the bigger engine. 5.5 gallon tank on both of these bikes, as well as an analog gauge that sits on the tank. The Springfield Classic starts at $23,000 and the Dark Horse starts at $25,000. These go up against the Harley Road King. Right now, the only Road King available new from Harley is the Road King Special, which is a direct competitor to the Springfield Dark Horse. The Road King Special only comes blacked out and also doesn't come stock with a windshield. It has the 114 engine with 122 foot-pounds of torque. It is priced the same as the Springfield Dark Horse at $25,000, so a little bit less bang for the buck on the Harley. Seat height is about a half-inch higher than the Springfield, and thanks to the 6-gallon tank, it weighs a few pounds more than the Springfield Dark Horse, but weighs less than the Springfield Classic. Point goes to Indian for keeping the Classic Springfield in production, unlike Harley, who has discontinued the Road King Classic, at least for now. I know that doing a comparison between the Springfield Classic and the Road King Special that I rode a month ago isn't quite apples to apples, since they're not really the same bike, but it's the best I can do right now. The Road King Special that I rode did have a windshield on it, so in that sense they're a little closer than if they were stock bikes. I ran into the same issue in last year's demo rides, where I had to compare the Springfield Classic with the Road King Special because that's all that was available. In this year's review of the Road King Special, I asked the question why the Road King is such a popular bike, and the answers I've received from that video and other conversations I've had is that it is a fantastic bike for those who want a touring bike but don't feel like they need a radio or front fairing. So I get that not everyone wants the fairing and the infotainment system, and in that case either of these bikes is a great way to go. But let's compare these rides to see which one of these minimalist touring bikes comes out as the winner. Both bikes have great sound and handling. The Springfield is longer than the Road King overall by close to 6.5 inches, with the wheelbase being 3 inches longer. I believe the Springfield has a lower center of gravity than the Road King. You put all that together and the Springfield is incredibly well balanced. That bike is so easy to handle at higher speeds and at slow speeds. Both bikes have a relaxed riding position, forward foot controls with floorboards, and while they do have plenty of power, getting on these bikes feels like they're designed for a nice chill ride cruising through the countryside. Indian gets a point for better balance and stability. When it comes to comfort, Harley wins for me, but just barely, because it's a shorter bike, the reach to the bars is comfortable, whereas the reach to the Springfield bars is just a little bit of a stretch. Of all the Indian bikes I rode with stock bars, this one was the most comfortable, but still a minor stretch in my shoulders. So Harley gets a point for comfort. As far as fun factor and riding experience, I am giving this one to the Indian despite the handlebar reach. This bike was better balanced, more stable, and more fun. I got on this bike and I was ready to head out for a day of riding. In fact, I was enjoying it so much that I missed a turn and had to do a U-turn at the next intersection. So between the Road King Special with a windshield and the Springfield Classic, the winner goes to Indian once again. Of the 5 comparisons we reviewed so far, we have 3 wins for Indian, 1 for Harley, and 1 tie. Thanks everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned as we move up to the full touring bikes, starting with the Chieftain on the next video. See you soon.